someone that wants to be a civic leader we have to do. And then, under that mobilized call, I want to add another point is have your own tribe. Have your own tribe. What does have your own tribe mean? What does it mean to have your own tribe? Have your own tribe. What that means is that you must be in the tribe of people that you share the same passion, the same art, the same vision. You cannot be a civic advocate for women and children, and you are joining the tribe of people that are civic advocates for the protection of dogs and cats. So it is very important. Then the last one is advocacy. Advocacy. You have to also join groups that will allow your voice to be heard. Maybe one example of I will just do a random survey now. How many of us currently you already have an advocacy you intend to do? Raise up your hands. How many of you already have? Okay. How many of you are already doing advocacy in an area that you find passionate? Let me see your hands. Tension.
I have intentions.
You have intention of advocacy. Okay. Okay. Right. What of your own? You said? Yes. I think if it is that one, I can testify because you are so passionate about drug users. Almost every 2 days, you will post it. Drugs. It will go on campaign. They will do work. He will go and speak and everything. He's passionate about drug. I mean, I don't know whether I know you have not used drug before. Maybe somebody has used drug. Maybe somebody has used drug and you saw that with what I saw, I will not allow anybody in me. He can kill himself 2 other means, but not 2 drugs. So that is advocacy. So now, but like I said, everybody that is in this room, it is my hope that you will eventually participate in advocacy, because not all of us will do politics. Some people, we have Awo here. We have Awo here. He's coming. We have Awo here, and not everybody will be like Awo. So maybe, but like I said, now I'm not saying everybody should go and start a civic. The one you are doing, I don't that started it. No. So I'm not saying they said we should go and start advocacy. No. I'm just saying that as a citizen of Nigeria, you need to be involved in the development of our society. That is going to be your own quota. Though he's not a governor, he's not a commissioner, he's not an SA, he's not even a councillor. But as a citizen, he's doing his own contribution to the development of his society. That is the goal. Any question before we move to the second module? Any question? Any question? Okay. In the absence of no other question, we move to the second module. Citizenship, rights, and responsibility. Citizenship, rights, and responsibility. The building blocks of nation building. We've touched briefly on this maybe early yesterday, but it's still important that we look at it now. Citizenship, right and responsibility. What is citizenship? How many of us are citizens of Nigeria? Where is your passport? The only thing that validates you. Now, Mavia even look like DJ people. You know that. You look like DJ people. Who? So, what validates you as a Nigerian citizen is your passport. No, that is it. There is no, yeah, you can't, okay, let's ask that there's something that you have to leave Nigeria and go to Ghana. I want to prove that you're in Nigeria. Now, beyond legal citizenship, it is more than holding a passport. It is an active, dynamic relationship that you have with the state. As a Nigerian citizen, you are an active, you have an active, dynamic relationship with the state. Nobody on earth is without citizenship. Everybody on earth has a citizenship because you were born somewhere, and the land where you were born is the land of your citizenship. You were born where? In the aeroplane. Where the aeroplane was when you came out is your citizen. If you say the sea, you see some Red Sea, that the flower of Red Sea, you are going to collect your citizenship from Ami water. You give citizenship. So, social contract. When you are a citizen of Nigeria, there is a contract you sign with Nigerian government, either you like it or not. Both knowingly and unknowingly. No, I'm serious. And when you're a citizen, there's also a contract the Nigerian government signed with you. For example, when you're a citizen, the Nigerian government signed a contract to protect you. So you can go to police station and say your neighbor is threatening you with a knife. And the police say, okay, constable, follow her. And one man will carry condo and follow you. Why? Because, but an American man cannot go and say, my neighbor is threatening me. Azao. Why? Embassy. An American man will go to where? He will go to embassy. Anything that happens to an American man, it does not relate with Nigerian authority. It relates straight with his embassy. That is why when you are going to a new country, when you get to a new country, the first thing you have to do is go and sign up with the embassy that I, Taiwo, I am in Kenya. I live at number 4 Clifford Street, downtown Kenya. So that anything happens to you, the Nigerian government knows where you are. So they will have, so once in the country, except you choose you choose to do your life like a lottery, everybody knows that once you are traveling to a new country, you are obligated to go to the embassy of your own country and register yourself, your address, your location. They will have your full bio data. So when anything happens, there is a crisis, they want to evacuate people, they can evacuate you. You have heard of people that will say there is crisis in Libya, they are evacuating citizens. They only evacuate people that are registered. So the Nigerian government knows that you are in Kenya. So now what means that is that when you are a citizen of a state, there is a contract you have signed with the state, and there's a contract the state signed with you. The contract the state signed with you is to guarantee your rights. The contract you sign with the state is to perform your obligation. So when I am born a Nigerian citizen, the Nigerian government is saying, Taiwo, we guarantee you a right to life. We guarantee you rights to religion. We guarantee you rights to this thing. And if I am born in North Korea is not having that guarantee with me. So the nature of contract that exists between a citizen of a country and a citizen of another country is different. For example, there is no right to travel anyhow in North Korea. but in Nigeria. So you have to understand those dynamics. Now, your right to the government is what we call responsibility. Government rights to you is what we call duties. I mean, rights. Now, now, citizenship require you to perform, to requires active participation to make the democratic system functional. Citizenship requires you active participation to make the democratic system optional. So move forward. What are your core human rights? Number one, right to life. Right to protection from harm. Right to protection from forced labor. What that means is that nobody can do forced labor. Nobody can do forced labor for you. Then the right to hold opinion, receive and impact. You have the right to worship in Nigeria. Some countries you have no right to worship. You can only worship the religion of the state. You cannot say I want to go and do, and you as Babalawo, you land in jail. And the last is you have equal access to justice. I love this quote. You cannot withdraw. You cannot withdraw from the National Bank of Rights if you do not make deposit of responsibility. Right. You cannot withdraw from the National Bank of Rights if you do not make deposit of responsibility. For example, one of your responsibility to the state is to pay your tax. So when you go to police station, you say, police, everybody in the you are demanding them to work for you. Have you also performed your responsibility? In view of that, how many of us have a task ID? You forgot. About December 31st, how many of us have a tax? I'm not joking. We are looking at civic leadership. How many of us have tax ID, tax number? So you do not have. I was surprised. Tell me how. This message, I'm putting it an caveat because when I look at the task, they don't deserve it because they have not done the work. Well, it is what it is. However, it is still going to be your responsibility to the government. When they say Thursday morning environmental, you should also do it. Because you cannot be complaining Nigerian government. You to do your part. Next, then we have what to call the rule of law. The rule of law. The rule of law is the anchor of a society. The rule of law is the anchor of a just society. Now, what does the rule of, how many of us have heard when they say the rule of law? Nobody's about the rule of law. How many of us have heard it before? Rule of law. The rule of law says that all persons, institutions, and entities are accountable to laws. The rule of law means that all persons, from the president to the last citizen to everybody, we are all accountable to laws that are publicly promulgated and equally enforced. In a nutshell, the rule of law says no one is above the law. Everybody is below the law. Do you get the meaning? When I say the rule of law, it means that nobody did this rule. When the law rule like this, nobody goes above it. Now, that is the ideal. Let us leave the exceptional. No one is above the law, including leaders, law enforcement, and wealthy citizens. It prevents tyranny and protects minority rights. So when everybody, how many of us know who we call Lady Justice? How many of us know Lady Justice? Only one person. If you go to a court of law or you are passing in front of any law, you notice that they used to blinding you see one lady that will do like this. If you carry it and no, lady will do like this. They will now put, it will carry one way scale, I think one way fish. They go carry sword like this. Let's not teach you like this. He will carry sword like this, carrying way scale like this. They will now blindfold the size. They will call it Lady Justice. What does it mean? What does everything has meaning? I didn't study law, but I know everything has meaning. Number one, they close his eyes because I don't know who is before me, whether you are president or you are governor. Once before me, I am blind, I administer justice. Either the law or me, wait here, everybody is weighing equal before the law. I just assume that is what it means, and I know I'm correct. No, they didn't even teach me. I just assume that is what it means, and I think I'm correct. So then the power of taxation. I don't want to talk a lot about taxation. I think the problem many of us have about tax, the new tax law. See, either you like it or not, you will pay tax. That was that side. But the problem many of us have, and I said that nobody has problem to pay for a system that is working. Do you get it? If you have light 24/7, light does not blink. Tell me why you will not want to pay light at the end of the month. Do you get? If you travel from here to Ogbomoso, it should take you normally 1 hour 15 minutes. Here to Ogbomoso will take you about 3 hours because the road is bad. But if I know that under 1 hour I'm in Ogbomoso, if you say come and pay tax, why won't I want to pay tax? So the problem of taxation is not whether tax is good or not good. Tax is normal. But because we are not seeing the result of what we are paying for, that is the problem of the citizen. But I am not to answer for the government. It is compulsory. Well, it is compulsory contribution to state revenue. It funds public good like road, healthcare, national defense and education, accountability, paying taxes builds a culture where citizens actively demand good governance. Now, voting and electoral participation. Voting and electoral participation. Vote and electoral participation. Now, the ballot. Voting is the most direct way citizens influence that election. Both fundamental rights and a profound respect. And then the next is dictate the future and policies to apart. You know, rule us. Nation building is a collective effort. The government alone cannot be a prosperous nation. Is society is providing oversight, contribute to national GDP. So now balancing rights and duties. How many of you have heard when they say where your rights ends is where somebody's else right begins? How many of you have heard it before? When they say where your own rights end is where somebody else right begins. I've heard it before. Okay. Now, freedom of speech does not mean freedom to incite violence. Freedom of speech does not mean freedom to incite violence. Focus on what convoy cycle. Focus on what you can change in your immediate community rather than complaining. Number two, Maxwell influence. You don't need title to influence your peers, to obey traffic laws, pay taxes or vote. And lastly, small civic actions by ordinary people can trigger massive societal shifts. Now, let's look at a case study of a civic action. The case study of a civic action. A Lagos neighborhood was suffering from blocked drainages. A Lagos neighborhood was suffering from A Lagos neighborhood suffering from blocked drainages. Stop waiting for the municipal government action. Citizens, they formed a local task force and contributed monthly, hired waste managers, and educated their neighbors. What is the outcome? Flooding reduced by 80%. Property values rose, and the government eventually partnered with them to scale. What does that mean? That means we cannot wait for the government to do everything for us. And I want to report it, even in Osogbo, we don't have to wait to say, the government has designated Thursday between 7 a.m. and 10 a.m. for environmental. Do environmental, come to your shop. If you have shop, all the gutters, everything. It is your street, clean up. Okay, so let's do a brief exercise. This one will not require a lot of moving parts. The government is building a much needed public hospital, but it requires demolishing a historic community center. Like you have a community center and the government wants to build hospital, and because of that, they have to build that center. The task is how do citizens balance their right to protect the demolition with their responsibility to support public health infrastructure, debate and present a compromise. So I want responses, please. Someone should respond, please. Government want to build hospital, but they have to destroy your community center. Government want to build hospital, but they will have to destroy your community center. What do you do? Number one, you want the hospital. Number two, you want community center. Debate and present a compromise. Debate and present a compromise. Thank you. Debate and present a compromise. Kini, after you chase her away, in fact, you should go home alone today. You should not even talk to you people. I'm waiting for you guys, so. Okay, let's respond, please. Okay, Daniel, Josiah. No, but I can give mine.
All right, thank you, sir. All right, so I think this is actually very, I'm making very brief now. So there's an important need for a public hospital, and then there's a community center on the site where you want to build your hospital on. And I think the best compromise that can be made is just that, depending on the importance of the community center now, another community center will serve as a site of, let's say, something like an heritage or something that unites the community together. But at the same time, hospital is something that uses life and death. So, logically, the first representation I'll make is that the government should please find a different site for the public hospital they want to use. I don't think it should be very difficult for the government to find a different site for the hospital on. But if eventually we cannot find, then it will be very, very, very hard decision that we must make. But with something I would encourage personally. So I think the best compromise is to find different sites. That's Or if after starting some how can you start then eventually have to demolish the site. But this something can cross the limit of fraction between the government and people.
Okay. What if the government has searched and they cannot find? Wait, I don't want to say something. I wanted to say something, but I will not say it. If I say it, it will give you a clue. Sorry, but I know you have been awake since last night. Okay. Let her be the one to request for it.
So I'm not trying to like support you, but in case where there is no vision to do that, I think we can just protest and plead that the previous center should not be demolished totally. Probably have, or probably they can get a hall or someone that has enough space in his or her compound where they can make use of in case of emergency. I don't really yes, yes.
I get it. Okay.
Thank you. I
You
don't
want
know.
to say something?
Why am I shaking this thing to the phone so that space now space will be behind us?
So it's
So,
not-
This space is wasted.
I don't know if I cut. I know in between the question and in between your answers, my mind wandered off. What I just say about the question is, firstly, if the government wants to do something, then I think if you want to override or like at least stop the government from doing that, in a proper working democracy now, which is what we are meant to have. This is what we believe we have in Nigeria. You should actually be able to, whether it's states or whether it's federal, you go have senators, you should be able to get the senator for that district to actually be able to get the representative for that district to stop that action from happening. I think that's what can happen if everybody comes together okay, everybody comes together in unity for the purpose of stopping the establishment of that hospital. And I believe a proper working democracy should allow for people to have that right to decide what should be there.
Okay, no, give it to Maria.
Okay, so I think that the proper response should be, why should we choose between having a public hospital in order to demolish the historic community center? Why can't we have both? Because we actually need both. So why do we have to like destroy history to build an hospital? We actually need both in the community. You can even use Funmilayo as a case study here. When she did not burn the Alakes Palace, she comes there and that okay, make our things.
Ethics is the external standard. Integrity is the consistency between your established values and your consistent action, even when no one is watching. So ethics is from outside. Integrity is from inside. Ethics is the outside forces. Integrity is what you said internally. They say, I thought you now go and meet ST. Oh, you see, we are trying to mobilize some youth in Osogbo. No, you have good following. What can you do for us? Like, what for us? They said, no, no, I'm in advocacy for young people to say, no, we are doing the same. No, in fact, we plan that once we end first 100 days, we empower 5,000 youth. And you said, but I don't want to force you. You can think about it. Can you give me your account number? No, you can think about it, no problem. just say pam pam, just say 200 million. Say, no, you can, no. Just think about it. There is nothing to. That time, when is the problem? It's not the problem. If it will come, no, that has been said. It will come. When is what we are knowing. Many people have walked away. Many people have not walked away. It's all dependent on you. Anyhow you choose to do it. So, but what do what is right. So your ethics is the external standard of right. Ethical integrity is the things that are your values internally. I will not do this, I will not do that. Basic values. So, moving on. The currency of public trust. If you remember 2 days ago or so, we discussed about competence and commitment. If you remember. Okay. So it's coming up here again. Commitment is the consistency. They are now adding the anatomy of public trust. This is what we are doing. Look like political science, but it is not. The anatomy of public trust. Public trust has 3 components. Like when I say public, the general public, the first component is your character. The second component is your competence. The third component is your consistency. So the anatomy of public trust, the first is your character. The second is your competence. And the third is your consistency. And let me tell you something. People are watching you. Say to your neighbor, people are watching you. I didn't call him. You don't care who call me. Say to your neighbor, people are watching you. He has 2 neighbors. You can choose to fail anyone.
So who will I face?
Now, let me say this. Your character is the first thing people notice about you. That lady, the way she greets people, that lady before they even know your consistency. That is why your character is carrying 40%. Before ST calls you, you already know that this time, the way I see him post online. But you know that I don't want us to go into a particular topic. If you go into it, that is the topic we used to end this session. But we'll not go into it. I don't want us to go into it. But if we go into it, we'll not finish here. Because you also have to understand, and I think that's one thing I think I've taught you in this class is that we always human beings, we think in terms of position. We don't think in terms of spectrum. Spectrum means that if ST gives you 50 million, it will not be a problem. If it gives you 800 million, that may be a problem. So sometimes, because that's what I said, and I may know that if I give ST 50 million, it will not move him. If I give ST 1 billion, he won't be able to sleep in the night. And I can know that Dayo, like Dayo 20 million, that one is easy. I'm just assuming, I'm just a case study. So now the 20 million may not be the spectrum for the extreme for Tayo, but it will be the extreme for, because sometimes, and that's why if you have heard the phrase when they say something is at stake, have you heard it before? When they say something is at stake, you should be asking them, how high is the stake? Just, something is at stake. How high is the stake? If Taiwo lives in his house, he has his own house, he has 2 cars, and you're offering him 50 million, you're like 50 million me. But if you're offering him 1 billion, he's not doing what he did. When I say 1 billion, what he did for me, like this. But for him, 50 million may be his breakthrough. So sometimes when we say we are walking away from temptation, it's because the stake is not. Please, let's continue. We don't have much time today. So sometimes when we say we are walking away from a temptation, because the stake is not high. If a guy wants not to marry, I say, Maria, you're a beautiful girl, I like you. I say, now wow, this is Oshogo. What the person about see? Was a man, a fine young man in a jeep that park beside the road, that would be a different ball game. That's just an example. I'm just saying that sometimes when we say we are walking away, the way that the stake is low and does not deserve our audience. But for public trust, the first is going to be your character. Are we together? Yeah. Character. The second will be your competence. The least is important is your how reliable is Taiwo. But before we know how reliable is Taiwo, is why when people lose public trust, the first thing they also their competent character. You cannot slam my competence. Do you get it? Then one mechanic go, when mechanic come my share, but you've had it before. Yeah. See a wedding better. It's a journey, please. Now, corruption is over failure. It is an drain that diverts billion for infrastructure, health, and education. Now, strategies for national integrity. Strategies for national integrity. Number 1. Are you feeling cold? I'll first come and sit down here. So the government. Number 1, the government must be transparent. Number 2, agencies like ICPC, EFCC with absolute independence. It is called ICPC, independent. They should be independent. And lastly, I don't know how many of us were here he said, half of them a sitting governor, according to the chairman. It's like assume that Maria the next president, and the chairman of the electoral committee, you are the one that we appoint. Let's not pick you. There should be a law says that a sitting president cannot appoint that a sitting president is appointing the INEC chairman already what is the best word to use? Already invalidate the entire process. I cannot employ you as my employee. I will be working with my enemy, Azao. You'll be working my best interest. Now, the ethics of influence. The ethics of influence. Now, influence versus power is a stewardship of national resources. Leadership is a stewardship of national resources, not of entitlement. As John Maxwell said, influence is the ability to move a collective toward a shared goal. So I want to ask, what is the difference between influence and power? Who has not talked today? What is the difference between influence and power? What is the difference between influence and power? Who wants to respond? Who has not responded today? What is the difference between influence and power?
Abuse.
Who wants to respond? Difference between influence and power.
Power is making people do something, like authority, using authority to make people do something. While influence is people wanting to do something because it's you.
Power is when you are in a position, and the influence is done by the social.
Repeat encore. Repeat again.
Okay. I said power is holding a position, and influence is done by the social capital. You are informed. Us or people have value on them are your influence. But power is when you are in a position. So that's when you have the power. You have power without having influence. And when you have influence, you know people with power. And you can use people with power with your influence.
So power is influence is higher than power by analogy. What you said now that you can use influence to use people power. Okay. One more person before we close the ballot paper. Okay, Miss Susan. For the record, please use the.
I think power is like command, like authority, like commanding somebody. Why is you persuading the person? Kind of.
You didn't talk like you were convinced of your answer.
Power is like a commanding somebody. Why influence is persuasion?
Okay. Okay, please, teacher. Okay.
Right. Good morning. So I think what was Maria had the most sense to it. First, power has to do with some sense of authority, So it comes usually formal, and it has this top down. You get so the person who can exert power on you is most likely someone, in a higher authority or position than you have. Do you understand? So it makes no sense for your younger brother, except of course he has more power than you, to push you down. Do you understand? So you can also understand from that scenario that it has an element of force, authority. For science students, power is one. No science interest. It also has the psychological effect is relational. So the very first, so an example to that scientifically will be, do you know when they say magnetism by induction? The very fact that this is a magnet, there's an ion. An ion is magnetic, but the very fact that maybe you rub that magnet against the ion for so long, which is not magnet, do you understand? To attach another ion, and it looks like it wants to do it. So the influence of that magnet has rubbed off on the ion, you understand? So it's relational. So you can only use influence in the place of relation, you get. So it's always relational. So that's an example. Thank you.
Okay. So we have all the answers in now. We have all the answers in now. Okay, so let's move on. I'm coming. I don't know where this thing ran to. Okay, so thank you all. Now, accountability, the engine of progress. Accountability, the engine of progress. Now, the accountability progress trend. The accountability progress trend. The accountability progress trend. As transparency and accountability x-axis increases, national development show an exponential upward shift. As transparency and accountability increase. Now, one of the things that we don't have in the Nigerian spirit is accountability. How many of you have seen in recent time? I'm just assuming maybe JAMB audited the report for last year or for last 2 years. The government, how many government MDA in Nigeria is publishing their annual audited accounts? How many government MDA? And it is in the law, it's in the constitution that every government MDA must publicly in their annual report, their publicly audited accounts. Some MDA has not audited their account in the last 10 years. And every year, the government is still giving them money. By the end of the year, can you tell us how much did Ministry of Health spend? How much did the Ministry of Education spend? How much did the Ministry of... Tell us what you budgeted and what you spent. We can't find that in Nigeria. Or have you ever seen the time when the government published Ministry of Agriculture budget 2 billion, expenditure 1.8 billion, Ministry of Education budget 9 billion, expenditure 9. How many else did you see that? No, but it's in the constitution. So when there's no accountability, we don't know what is happening to our money, what government is doing, everybody just assumes. Now, no society, this is very powerful, no society can progress or sustain itself in a meaningful way without a deep foundation of public trust. No society can progress or sustain itself in a meaningful way without a deep foundation of public trust. That is what we are having in Nigeria. When tax came, what is the problem with tax? Public trust. Nigerians do not have problem with paying tax. Nigeria have problem with public trust. So, any question? Any question? Any question? So let's go to the third aspect. We have 2 more to go before the end of today's class. Civic leadership. So let's go to lesson 4. Lesson 1 was foundation of civic leadership. Lesson 2, rights and responsibility. Lesson 3, ethics and integrity. Lesson 4, so what do we have on the screen? Okay, so identifying local problems, organizing people, and leading change. Identifying local problems, organizing people, and leading change. How does that work? Now we've done the basic groundwork. Let's now go to the main work. After this, we should go to advocacy. After that, maybe one more. Now, what are the learning objectives? Number 1, define the power of grassroots movements. Define the power of grassroots movements. Number 2, identify and map true local problems or symptoms. 3, organize citizens and build community trust. 4, build and sustain active volunteer networks. And lastly, execute and lead targeted community level change. So the power of the grassroots. which class I was telling yesterday about the power of the grassroots? Was it your class? Okay. That I was saying that the biggest determinants of election results in Nigeria are not urban voters. They are mostly rural voters. And those voters are not on social media. So any candidate that wants to win election will always get down and mobilize people to the grassroots. But you are speaking Queen's English on Twitter. You're on your own. Because the people that are and even when you want to share the rice, will you go and share rice? Have you seen them sharing rice in Ikeja or sharing rice in Victoria Island or sharing rice in Eko? You know now, go and share rice in Oshi. Go and share rice in Oshodi. Like, see, they also know the people that want the rice. I wish seen them sharing 2,000 on election day. They are this Victoria Island with a poly bag of money. He's sharing 2K. No, they don't know. You go and meet them at home. And they go and see them there. And I also remember I said that we need something we always need something when we talk about vote buying. So, can anyone respond to what is their own perspective about this initiative has done? Looking at Tijan. The way you look at it, like, have you asked Tijan? That's what you're. Where do you draw the line between community advocacy and subsidizing the failure of the government?
Regarding this case,
That these case studies.
Should I give a direct response or a political response?
anyone.
Give us both. Let us collect both.
So, unfortunately, much of the community advocacy projects around the country are given by a sense of indeliberate subsidization of
Government failure.
government failure.
Okay.
It's not intentional, but it's a huge gap that the non-profit sector doing a lot to fill. And honestly, without all of those efforts, we'll be sitting on the bigger keg of gunpowder as a country. So, to a very large extent, I am leaning towards the other. I was sharing about some advocacy projects that we did in Edo State 8 years ago. That was focused on measuring the human cost of corruption in 10 local governments. And we produced a number of few short documentaries for that. We are shared on 2 of them. In many of those communities where there has been government funding, government allocation from the federal level to provide primary health care support, provide primary basic education, roads and all of that. This was before budget tracker. I'm talking 2018. So when we got down to those communities to see, there is a complete disconnection between what was funded and what's on the ground. One of the primary health care centers was at the time an uncompleted building, and it has been consistently funded for years. Some of the schools we checked, we look at about 10 schools, and we try to that project danger schools. And I think someone checked it yesterday. It's they have been completely dilapidated and no sort of improvement. And any sort of little changes that you see is maybe individuals or non-profits organizing chalkboard, chairs, and all of these things for the students. Whereas there is government funding that's supposed to be channeled towards that at the local government level. So much of the community intervention that we see, they are a product of government failure. And you see, the non-profit space is doing a lot of work, and I can't stress this enough. I can't stress this enough. Of course, there are a lot of issues within the space elsewhere in the non-profit sector, a lot of issues, but at a very broad level, a lot of work. Look at how many young girls and women are able to have a sense of personhood because of young women like you in those communities. I don't know if your community development project for one reason. I think I would remember this. I realized that many of the development projects are simple because I thought when I'm done with my NYSC, because I saw and then they become dumping grounds for waste. So one of the things that the group, non-profit, get into a room, to a network first of all. So that you're doing something, what was that? What's that village that was because Silame, this was all these villages. Bring them together into a space and allow them to be able to build that connection among themselves, so that when NYSC leaves, they are, whatever it is that you have done or that you are doing or they themselves are doing, they're able to build it sustainably, because sustainability is one of the major issues in the non-profit space. So bring to the current situation now. 2027 election coming. You see no initiatives spring for local, civic engagement, voter education, drive for what's it called, voters card and all of that, and many. But if you think about it that very well, that gap exists because our national framework does not even, first of all, give a lot of avenue for basic education, not to talk of basic education. I mean, basic education is 2 times 1, 2, A+, up to primary school level. If a nation cannot provide basic education, it's already failed in a to provide basic civic education. That a child growing up knows that when I arrive at an age where I can vote and be voted for, these are my basic responsibilities. Even as a child, what is contained in the Child Rights Act that I am entitled to? And what do they teach in civic education? I keep looking at the curriculum, each government, each Ministry of Education, and they change it. It's very embarrassing. The kind of things that a 10-year knows. So because of that gap in national orientation, you, Taiwo and Ayod can then come up and say, oh, let's provide, right?
Let's start from. Yes, no problem. You remove our document, Chairman. They are like layers of leadership responsible for it. For the road in your area, there's the commissioner of works who should have done that. You have a councillor, you have a local chairman. That area is under the jurisdiction of a House of Assembly. There is a House of Rec, deliberate setup of people who have failed to do what they ought to do. So I think we really can't do much. I know I was kind of thinking earlier, but it's not only enough for us to make sure that we keep these guys out. But we also have to mobilize, as you said, like it has to be done by citizens, organized citizens. So I think it's important that we're able to first remove them. So I think that's one of the things we never get right. We just keep complaining, but we're not going to fix anything. Because the good intentioned people, the well-intentioned people like you and myself, we know for office. He doesn't mind being in governance, but he's not going to do ballot box. But they are the scum of our society, the worst among us, and we have actually outsourced that to them. Nothing is going to ever get fixed until we snatch it back from them. As like there's no other way around it. The most desperate of us, the worst among us, are the ones who have the boldness to actually do what it takes to get power. They are the ones who will go and get money to campaign. I see the quality of people. The good people are just complaining on Twitter, but when they actually belong to a party, people are waiting to January to go and actually vote. What are you voting for? You are voting for people that delegates who have been bribed thousands of dollars will select. So you are not, I don't think we're empowering ourselves. So the essence of everything I'm saying is that it must start at the citizen level. We should begin to have our own parties that are funded. We have a lot of, wealthy people who would like to give to that cause. And we are seeing a little bit of that in this year's election. I mean, we can also buy our own vote. What I'm saying doesn't make sense to you. But if APC is saying we'll give you 50,000, let's also mobilize the rich people among us to go into the market and sensitize and help, market women and vulnerable people who would normally sell their votes. Let's also give money to people. If you bring your voters card, you get also amount of let's also do something. We have to spend the currency that these crooks in government spend. They spend violence, we have to spend vigilance. So as they are coming to snatch ballot boxes, let us mobilize. Right? These are communities that are, if you are coming out, if you're
developing, right? Now, developing without prioritizing education, how do you want to? So, how do you say you are developing with no sense of education? Nothing is improving. You are not getting more knowledge. Do you understand? So, I feel that where that line has to be drawn has to start from those cradles, and then we can now move into getting involved, as young persons as ourselves, getting involved in politics, as they said, so many of us, we don't have a party, so many of us are even afraid to join APC. You don't necessarily have to go and create your own party. Yes, you don't. See, we still, no matter the money anybody has anywhere, it's still a democratic government. If all of us in APC or in PDP or in Accord or in DPC, whatever the CPT that they want to create, if all of us are there and we are right-minded, so that the products that we are going to push out will be right-minded individuals, So these are places where we have to be if we are really interested in line. If not, and I think I must point out, there will really never be a time where community social responsibility will be outdated, because it just makes more sense that people come together and do something that feels like a need for them in their own community. Do you understand? Because I mean, maybe Bola Ahmed Tinubu doesn't know that you don't have street light on Ogolua. Do you understand? But the guys there, they know what is pinching them. You wearing the shoe, you know where it itches. Do you understand? So if you are wearing the shoe and it's itching you, make it a priority to fix it. Because as he was saying, if you leave everything to the government, it will affect you more. Their educational policies will affect your children. Their education, except of course we can all afford to train our children out of this country. If we cannot do so, how are you going to schools? If you want to become a teacher, I think one person was saying she wants to do something with the disabled. If you are going to be a teacher, make it a priority. Like, I want to impact these kids with more than just maths and English. And that is you contributing your own quota. Do you understand? And that little or not so little thing that you've done, I mean, I've seen it happen in my own personal life. I've seen so much of it happen. If you just go and sprout somewhere, someone messaged me, this is me rounding up, someone messaged me on Instagram, she's a chef. I remember that I met the lady in my primary school. I was not even the head boy in my primary school, I think. I don't even know what, maybe timekeeper or something. Oh, okay, that was primary 4. But at the time I was the timekeeper, and I just told her that you don't necessarily have to come outside when they are teaching maths. So what she does is, if they are teaching maths, she just runs outside, go and tell them she wants to ease herself, and stay in the restroom until they are done. Like, how do you don't necessarily, so we started talking, primary school, we are just I'm a primary school student, she's also a primary school student. I started talking. This lady now is, one of the top chefs, maybe not top chef, but a very notable chef in Abuja, and she flies to go and cook for people. Imagine somebody saying that, oh, I'm going to Toronto today. Oh, I can't allow somebody there to cook for me, so you have to follow me. So, and she's just doing well for herself. And this is somebody that really, that all this education, at that, but she was not really interested in education. You understand? And she said she will change. This is, I believe, we can begin to start drawing the line. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so